Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
This is a bonus episode. What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience episode number 249. Our guests have sent us so much swag, books, and giveaways this year. I can't wait to announce our monthly winner. So if you want exclusive content delivered right to your inbox and to enter into our monthly drawing, go to drfrancesrichards.com and subscribe to our mailing list. That's drfrancesrichards.com. drfrancesrichards.com. That's drfrancesrichards.com and subscribe to our mailing list. We promise we will not spam you or sell your information. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards, multifaceted actress, comedian, author, and speaker, a sought-after online academy teacher and strategic coach. Welcome, Kim Coles.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you want them to know about you and your business?
All right. So I will say that I have been a show business professional for 36 years. I started out as a stand-up comedian, and that led to being an actress. And then that led to being a producer, a speaker, an author, and now a coach. And I got to tell you, it's some of the most exciting, deepest work I've done because I get a chance to bring forth all levels of expertise as a woman, as a professional, as a speaker, as all the things. And I get to coach others specifically, and especially, I should say, around the power of story and using your story in very specific and powerful ways to enlighten and entertain and educate and inspire and motivate others. I recently was telling someone that with great joy, I get to do it all. Now I'm tired most of the time and I'm spinning a bunch of plates in the sky. Do you remember those old variety shows? I date myself and I don't want to date anybody else. So you can say yes or no. But there used to be these variety shows and there was always some guy who spun a bunch of plates. So he spins one plate and he gets that going. Then he moves on to the next one, the third and the fifth. And by the time he gets to the sixth or seventh, he's got to go back and run to the first and keep that one spinning or else they come crashing down. So that's kind of my life, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I get to spin all the plates and I get to serve the plates with my delicious gifts, and most importantly, help others to understand their gifts at this time. So that's it in a nutshell.
So Kim, you talked about story and coaching people around their story. Tell us your story.
Oh, wow. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York to two awesome parents. I'm so blessed to have born to these educated, sophisticated, a little bit bougie and a little bit down to earth, just the perfect mix of all the things that you would want to have. And had a really nice upbringing with, going to private schools and having a little bit of a sheltered life. And when my parents got divorced, we then went to public school. And my mother was smart enough to send us off I got sent off to what I like to call Puerto Rican Girl Scouts. So I had this great juxtaposition of this sort of very educated, very erudite experience of private school and then Puerto Rican Girl Scouts in the hood. And that made me so well-rounded. It made me who I am today. I started doing stand-up in 1985 after coming out of a beauty pageant for plus-size women. There was at the time, plus size modeling was becoming a big thing, no pun intended. And I entered myself into a beauty pageant for plus size women. And I did a comedy routine about how stupid I think beauty pageants are. And I won first runner up. And that was what kicked off my very brave comedy career. And in New York, things were really bubbling. It was a little bit after Eddie Murphy had all this success. So they were looking for their next Eddie Murphy or Eddie Murphy-ette. I actually answered an audition saying they were looking for Eddie Murphy-ette. Anyway, I would do my characters, based on these amazing New Yorkers. New York is such a rich place of cultures and people and food and experiences, and I would imitate them and put them on stage. And that got me noticed and seen, and I got an audition for In Living Color, and that was the first thing that brought me out to Los Angeles. And then I spent 1 year on that show and left, was released. Some would say fired, I say released, and then moved on to Living Single, where I did 5 beautiful years. I really call that show one of the sparkling jewels of my career. And then that show got canceled. And then, so you know how so many people have a rags to riches story? That's not my story. I started out with living in a big house and going to private school and having the trappings of, I would say, upper middle class experience. I didn't get poor, quote unquote poor, until after I was already famous, quote unquote famous. Living Single ended, and I was so depressed that I shopped through all of my money. And that's it in a very short way of describing what I went through. It was just such a terrible time to not go to work every day and play with my new friends and family. The way I expressed my depression was I shopped away all that I didn't think I deserved to begin with. Who was I to earn more money than my parents who had finished college and I hadn't yet? Who was I to have, money and be able to go shopping with any kind of card I had in my pocket? And so I shopped it all away and had a breakdown that led to a breakthrough of realizing that my gifts are not based on whether or not I'm on a TV show making people laugh. If my gifts are love and laughter, I can do that anywhere. And it began a journey to really understand why I'm here and get really focused on part of my mission is to serve with my gifts and remind other people of their gifts. So when we take the focus off of ourselves, well, why can't I do this? And how come I don't have this? And why isn't this happening? The quote from Zig Ziglar came up during this time. You can have everything you want if you just help enough people get what they want. It was, so wait a minute, it's not about me. Oh, I just help people get what they want by sharing my gifts in the world. Oh, you take the focus off of you. And that's when life really began in a really beautiful way. And I've been on that path ever since. It's a long story, but there's a lot of nuggets there that are really all about self-acceptance, doing the work, putting the mirror up in front of yourself and going, who am I and what am I here to do? Figuring that out and then just going and doing it and then having more success. And it's not about how much money you have in the bank, although that's very nice. It's really about how you help others activate who they are. And so that's what I'm living and doing, even though I'm still an actress, even though I'm still a speaker, even though I'm still an author. My opus will be the way I've helped other people. And for the record, that's your purpose on the planet too. Each and every one of us is here to help others. And when you figure that piece of it out, life really gets even more beautiful.
Talk about your superpower.
So my superpower is love and laughter and connection through humor and being willing to see people as they are and love them as they are is another superpower, I would say.
You were saying that you can imagine me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Go at it.
First of all, this beautiful gray, luscious hair that you have now was once black or dark brown. And it was just as luscious, just as wild, just as, maybe your mom made you tame it and maybe you didn't embrace it at the time, but it was just as thick and gorgeous and beautiful then. You were very inquisitive. Now, we haven't spent a lot of time together, but I get the sense that you were very curious, inquisitive, and I'm going to maybe guess studious. And I'll just stop there because I need to learn more. I need to be asking you some questions. I need to learn some more about you. But I think you're thoughtful. I think you were a thoughtful child. Either I would say maybe you're a thoughtful adult, but I think you thought a lot as a kid. You lived in your mind. You examined things and looked at things and, like I said, questioned or curious. Oh, no.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Kim.
Am I on target?
You're on target. You're on point.
Could you tell me if I was wrong?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
I would. Absolutely.
But I like that too, to know that you were true, that you are truthful now. And I imagine that you were that way too. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Word is listening. What is the resounding sound or the message that your generation is saying that we should listen to?
I'm a boomer. I was born in 62. I think I'm on the tail end of boomers. And I think the resounding sound you say that our generation, what we want to be heard or seen is that that we're still valuable, that our wisdom is valuable, that we have seen a lot. So much has happened in our lifetime. So many of us have a connection to the old school. So, just like I said, I mentioned the old variety shows. There's a breadth of knowledge and wisdom and experiences that we have seen in our lifetime and experience. Like I remember watching as a little girl, the men landing on the moon. I saw that. And, some would say, well, that's old school, that's old time. But I think our generation wants to be heard and seen and valued for all the wisdom that we bring to the table, not to be discounted because we have what may be considered some old-fashioned ways. And maybe that, I don't like this phrase, I don't want to call myself like an old dog, but you can teach an old dog new tricks. That's what I mean by our value. If you give us the knowledge of the technology, we can keep up with the youngins, I have no doubt. And we have much to teach and much to learn.
There's so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't see the questions in advance. This is making me think. I tell you who I really like. Her name is, the brand is Sassy Jones. It's run by a sister named Charisse Jones. It looks like it's a jewelry and accessories company. That's what it looks like on the outside. It's beautiful earrings and purses, and she sells lashes and now lip gloss and hats now. So it looks like accessories, but what she's really selling is confidence. And she bakes that into her message. So yes, you can wear these earrings, but you're going to feel so good. You're going to look so good. People are going to go, "Ooh, girlfriend, you're looking hot today." She sells confidence and individuality and being colorful. And even the name of the company is Sassy Jones. It's a celebration of womanhood. I dare to say that it's a celebration of Black womanhood first. Although if you go on her website, there are women of all shapes and sizes and colors. That's another thing I love, that she will demonstrate how to tie a scarf and turn it into a little halter top and then demonstrate it on a curvy girl. So she feels included. And so it's a brand that's inclusive and expressive and unapologetically creative and loud and bold. And I really like what she's done and how, she does these sparkle parties, I believe on Wednesdays, just a Facebook Live, but done like an HSN show. And she demonstrates her products and she describes how heavy the earrings are. You know how useful that is? I can't wear heavy earrings. So she'll say, "Oh, this is on a 1 or 2 scale of weight." So I know before I go and buy how I'm likely going to respond to her products. And I just think she's done such a good job and she's grown. And the last piece I'll say, she understands her customer so well. She understands her ideal customer beautifully so that she's grown unbelievably in a very short period of time. So that would be I'd give long answers. Sorry.
That's okay. No apology necessary. Speaking of ideal client, talk about your ideal client. Who is your ideal client?
Well, I refer to her as my soulmate client. It is likely a woman. It is a woman who is a speaker, author, coach herself, entrepreneur, business owner, or expert in some way. She is a little bit sassy, a whole lot smart, and is really excited about using her gifts in the world in an exciting way. There's one version of her who is still discovering what that is. So in other words, she's lived her life. Maybe she's raised her children and she's looking to go, is this all there is? I feel like there's something more. I'm excited to see if I can find it. There's another woman who is well on her journey. She knows what it is and just needs some help and guidance and a little bit of hand holding and a little bit of rah-rahing around. It's okay to speak. It's okay to share your gifts. It's not only okay, it's required now. Like the world needs you. The world needs your brand of you. that everything that has happened to you has happened for you. And if that's the case, it's happened for you to help and inspire others. She is prepared to invest in herself and ready to go from that space of striving to thriving, wherever she is on the striving to thriving meter, so to speak, and just really ready to do something really great in the world. So that's my soulmate client. Sometimes the men show up too, the male versions of those, and we love them because they're usually, pretty self-aware and comfortable in, around a bunch of women. Like I love going to women's conferences, which we will do again one day. I love the men who show up there because they're comfortable around, all these women feeling things and talking a whole lot. And they're like, this is where I want to be. And they love being there. Occasionally, a few men will show up too. My soulmate client.
Absolutely. Talk about your top 2 influencers and what lessons did they teach you?
Up to? Am I allowed to use my parents?
You
I make them. And I'm present to it because it's right in front of me. Let me cheat and go my mother and her sisters and then my dad. So my dad passed away in 2019, and I'm being reminded always about how much he influenced other people's lives because people tell me. So my dad started out as a social worker and, worked many different kinds of jobs. And in the end, mostly stayed in education. He got his doctorate in education and then later went into the seminary and became an Episcopal priest, which is hilarious because we were not Episcopalians. So in his 60s, he said, I've always had this calling and this is what I want to do. And I am convinced that it was really not so much a religious calling or I do think it was a spiritual calling, but it wasn't so much about religion as it was the ultimate social work. An Episcopal priest or pastor, like that's the ultimate social worker. He was, I forget what it's called. He was at St. Aug as I forget what they call them, the title that you're given as the spiritual, the pastor that is assigned to a college. I forget what they're called. I get Facebook messages from people saying, Father Coles helped me so much. I could go to him with any problem. I could talk to him about anything. He wasn't stuffy. Well, it's because he'd lived his life. He had been a Marine. He had been married 3 times. He had really lived his life. And I think he brought all of that to bear and was an example of someone who had a calling and didn't answer it until late in life, but he answered it. So he really lived this rich, full life. I refer to him as Reverend Dr. Daddy. Super charming. And when he walked into a room, he lit it up and he saw people. No matter who you are and what you did, he made sure that you were witnessed and acknowledged and seen. So even though he had these higher degrees and maybe he was wearing his collar and maybe he wasn't, he talked to everyone as if they were his equal. And it was a beautiful thing to watch and a beautiful thing to hear now over and over again. Oh my goodness, I miss your father so much. Now go to my mom. My mom is a little bit more down to earth. I'm not saying my dad is not down to earth. My dad was very sort of fancy and he was a little fancy. My mom is super down to earth, never wears makeup. She was a teacher. I get 90 years old. I just finished visiting her. I get Facebook messages from her students. Miss Coles was my favorite teacher. Oh my goodness, she taught me so much about life. She would tell the kids, let's put the books away and let's just talk about life today. My mother to this day, if I say, well, tell me your name, I'm going to tell my mother. My mother remembers every one of her students, and she taught for 40 years. And she remembers where they sat in the room. She just has that memory and remembers things like, Ruby, right? You used to cry all the time, didn't you? Like, Miss Coles, you remember that. You always dried my tears. And so, and again, saw in every student their greatness. She taught in Bed-Stuy. You know what they call it, do or die Bed-Stuy. She was given students who were written off as bad kids. And so she would give them tasks and give them opportunities and say, I don't see a bad kid. I see a kid who wants to be my assistant for a week. Come on and be my assistant. Huh? What? And they would get this confident. And then by the end of the year with her, be transformed into someone who was, maybe there are bad kids. I don't know. From her perspective, she didn't see that. She saw their greatness. So I got a chance to live with 2 people who lived from the space of seeing people's greatness first. And then I'm going to cheat and say my mother's sisters, because they are the fancy ones that I was in. So they're the ones who wore jewelry and got their nails done. So I have the influence of my mother, who was sort of plain and didn't dress up, and my aunts who had pearls like yours and big rings, and they were very fancy and wore lipstick. And my mother barely wore powder. And so I have that influence too, of these amazing, strong, educated women who were powerful, who were outspoken, who married men who met them where they were. So those are my mentors.
And Kim, talk about that in terms of being this actress and celebrity and your ordinary family and the people that you grew up with. Talk about that transition.
Well, I'll say first that there was quite a bit of shame for me. I'm the first generation that didn't finish college. So when I was born, only my mother's mother was alive. She went back to school at 55 and got her master's. So here I am, 59, and I have not even finished 2 years of college. So I had to really get over most of my aunts, most of my family are higher education. So I had to get over that piece of it and get over the shame and get over thinking that I had disappointed them in some way. And there were times when my father would like, Kimberly, you're going to go back to school. I'm like, Daddy, I'm on a set. I can't go back to school right now. And this is before we were doing online learning. Certainly now I could complete my degree if I really wanted to, if I wanted to take the time. So there was that. I will say that they were proud of me, though. Like my aunts never said, oh, finish school. They were happy with what I had chosen to do. And they were not, I don't think they were surprised, because they had great personalities. Each of them in their own way were powerful and admired and seen as charming. And so I borrowed all of that from them for sure. And I think there was a level of great pride in all their nieces and nephews, and great pride in my cousins are proud of me, just like I'm proud of them too. So I think, but it was very different. All of them, most of my family is involved in education in some way. And I think that was expected to happen. And when it didn't, it was like, okay, well, let's see what you're going to do. And when you start inviting people to your shows, they come along like, okay, all right, you're not going to be a teacher. What's funny is I became a teacher anyway. And my mother is thrilled. I go, Ma, I didn't do it the usual way, but I did it my way. Like, great. And she has been on the sidelines when I've been teaching on a Zoom class, just in earshot, but out of vision. And she gave me the best compliment. You're good. You're really good. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So there's a level of pride. There was a level of concern at some point. My dad was concerned you're out there in Hollywood, whatever that means. But I didn't fall prey to any of the stereotypical things that you think happen. Mine was at my own hand. I shopped away my money, got very depressed, and had a breakdown and had to get myself into therapy. But mine wasn't the drugs and alcohol and just being out, at the opening of every envelope. So I saved myself from that kind of what we think happens in Hollywood. The first time you come out, watch out for the dangers. Because I was already a little bit older. I'd already been married. I was like, I'm not trying to I don't need to go to all the parties. I know what happens there. I'm good. I think that they felt proud and secure that I was okay, or that I have been okay.
Who is Kim Coles and what matters to you?
Who is Kim Coles and what matters to her? I am a perfectly imperfect goofball, happy to be me, 59-year-old woman who is I'm so proud of my age. There hasn't been an age yet that I'm like, that one may come, but so far I accept all of it. Truth, integrity, and knowledge, wisdom of figuring it out, asking questions, getting questions answered matters to me. Love matters to me. Justice matters to me. I am unapologetically Black woman who is open to learning about other cultures and other races and other people. And I love on my people too. I love on my people. I'm somebody who's ever in a state of growing and wanting to grow and be better and figure things out.
Get. What do you want to give and what do you want to get?
What do I want to give? I want to give joy and laughter and inspiration. I'm wearing a t-shirt, you can't see it, that says inspired. I want to give inspiration or remind others that inspiration is at hand. And I want to get respect. And other than the things we need to be comfortable, a comfortable place to live, I want to get compensated for the work that I do. I want to get back what I give out in the world. So if I'm giving out love and laughter and joy and inspiration, I really hope that I receive that back. And I do. I want to give magic and get magic back.
And what was your biggest win this month?
My biggest win this month was I just did a film directed by Robin Givens, and I didn't have to audition for it. And that sounds like the win, but that's not it. There were so many wins. This opportunity came because she and I had met on an audition for a role that we were both up for. We were competitors, and we were the last two girls up for this role. And what happens generally in Hollywood is when you're down to the last two people, and this is, of course, back when we weren't in the middle of a pandemic, this is several years ago, we were together almost a whole day together because they had us come and then we had to go and meet at the network and audition one at a time. And then we had to sit in the lobby and wait. Then they told us to go and meet them over at the production house or whatever it was. And we went over there. And so we were together several hours while waiting for the networks to assemble and other, I should say, executives to assemble. And so we spent time talking and laughing and, waiting and preparing. And never was there a moment where there was a competitiveness or rudeness. I was fully aware. We both been in the business long enough to know that it was one of us. May the best woman win. If it's you, then off you go. And we laughed and we talked. And she told my agent, I want to talk to Kim Coles. I wonder if she remembers the time that we auditioned against each other for a role. And we spoke on the phone and she said, you were so lovely that day. I remembered that. And I remembered how lovely she was that day. It was just a moment. By the way, neither one of us got the role, which is hysterical. And she said, I just think that you're the right person for this character. So that means that showing up and being your authentic self means you're going to win. And I would say, you haven't asked me this yet. If you said there's any one lesson that I've learned throughout my life that it would never fails me, show up and do yourself. Do you can't lose. I don't have the energy to be anybody else. I can't fake it. I can't. I mean, I can, pull it together if I'm not feeling well. Yes. But I mean, just show up and do you. Every time I do that, I get rewarded. So that was a win for me. And it's the first time I've been, I haven't done a lot of film. So to be number 2 on the call sheet. So there was one person, Regina Taylor. I mean, I got to act with the great Regina Taylor, who made me bring my game that I didn't even know I had. So that would be my win, that it was 2 weeks of stretching myself. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't have to do anything to get it except just show up and be me. And I was stretched and grown, and it was beautiful. And can I just add one more little oomph on this?
This is all about you, Kim. Absolutely.
Okay. Here's what makes it really cool. That back in my In Living Color days, I had done a sketch where I had imitated Robin Givens. And if you remember In Living Color, we skewered the pop culture. It wasn't a pleasant sketch. It was Mike Tyson and Robin Givens on The Love Connection with Jim Carrey playing Chuck Woolery. And it was a little edgy. I was also 100 pounds lighter, but that's another story. And I was Robin Givens, and I was instructed to play her as, manipulative and gold diggery, because that's what people were saying about this woman. And here it was, that's 1990. And in 2021, here we are working together. And I brought that up. I said, I just want to apologize to you. She was like, I wasn't watching any of that stuff in that time. At that time, I had to shut myself off from all that negative talk. So maybe I saw it, maybe I didn't. It doesn't matter. I know you were just doing a job. Come on, let's go do this movie. I'm like, yay. Because she could have held that against me, and she didn't. Now, maybe I won her over in that time we spent together just as actors, as women, as professionals. I don't know. But it's really funny that some count the number of years later, she could have absolutely said, not her. And it was a great experience.
Someone is listening to this interview and they are interested in becoming an actress or an actor. What advice would you give them?
I would say, first thing is do your homework. If you're doing this to become famous, stop now. Fame is not the goal. It should not be the goal because it may not happen, A. And B, it's not what you think it is. It's not glamorous. There are moments that are glamorous. But if you're looking for the glamour and the accolades, stop now. If you're looking to work and show your creativity and bring life to characters that are on a page and bring your game and stretch yourself and play with others, then by all means, give it a go. Be aware that it's called show business for a reason. And there's a reason why the word business is longer than the word show, that you must do the work to protect the business. You are an entity. You are a brand. And do the work to protect that, to preserve that. Now, whether it's that physical, exercising and practicing and, vocalizing me, or whatever it is you do, don't do it like that. Whatever it is you need to do, work your instrument and then work your business, save your money, expose yourself to knowledge, just all of those things. Just take it seriously while you have fun, is what I would say.
You've talked a bit about pivoting a lot, going from actress to author and business owner. And 2020 was about pivoting and transitioning. Talk about COVID-19 and your life.
Yeah, I developed sort of a mantra that year, and I use it now too. It's about pivoting on purpose. You have to pivot on purpose. So we had this thing that shocked us. And in my case, I had lots of speaking engagements. That's how I was earning my keep, mostly speaking and then selling my goods and products and services after I spoke. The good news is I had already begun pivoting online back in 2008 when everything sort of blew up. I was like, I don't know how this entertainment industry is going to hold up or if I'm going to hold up. So I better figure out what my gifts and talents are so I can use them in different ways. So I was absolutely prepared when the pivot happened, even though I say that my speaking engagements got knocked down like dominoes. May went down, then April and June and on and on and on. So pivoting on purpose means looking at your gifts, your talents, your skills, your abilities, and your passions, and finding new ways to offer them to the world, new ways to use them in the world. I did a summit in May that was called Captivating Conversations. And I had about 30 what I call my all kinds of besties. They were either biz besties or real besties or Hollywood besties come in and talk about how they were navigating the time, how they were pivoting at the time, had some people teach about online businesses and how to be a better speaker or how to, watch your money at this time, how to rest at this time, how to do yoga. It was just so helpful and amazing. And I'm doing it again in May, Captivating Conversations. I'll make sure that you get the information about it so we can invite folks to it. And so it's all about just looking at all the pieces. And yes, it was difficult. And yes, we were protecting our health. And yes, we were staying indoors. And I am not a fan of the masks. I just can't even breathe. And more importantly, I can't see people's smiles. Drives me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs that I can't see your smile. And fortunately for me, none of my immediate friends or family have contracted the disease. I've stayed safe, and everything that I learned in 2020, I'm activating in 2021 and beyond, and recommending that others also look at things in a new way. I'll give you an example. I have a client who is a costumer, and Hollywood was really shut down for a while. Now productions are up now, but for a while nobody could figure it out. And so she's a costume designer. There's nothing to design. And she realized, well, let me bake some cookies. And there's some elders in my neighborhood and they can't get out. So she would bake these cookies and cakes and muffins and things and leave little baskets on her various neighbors' doorsteps who were seniors and who couldn't get out, because we were clear early on that seniors needed to stay home because they were most susceptible. And word started getting around that she was making these cakes and cookies and things. When I tell you she has a brand new thriving business that she hadn't planned, Is she a costumer again now? Sure, because production has opened up. But she began baking, and people would find out and say, well, can I pay you? Can you bake some cookies for my aunt who lives 3 towns away and deliver? And she started a booming business just by pivoting, looking at her passions. And I think that that's what we can all do. When we don't know what to do, you just go back to your default position of what do I love and how can I put that in the world? And if you can have everything you want if you just help enough people get what they want.
What is something that you dream about often that you have not done that you'd like to do?
Learn sign language. It's been a passion of mine since I found out that my grandmother could sign. Now, I never saw her do it. One of her brothers who had passed away by the time I was born, I found out was deaf. And so I don't know if it was American Sign Language. I don't know what it was back then. But when I found out, I missed an opportunity to learn this from her. So it's on it's on my bucket list. And I feel like I'm getting closer because one of the ladies I have a mastermind called the Community Mastermind. It's a monthly membership where we help entrepreneurial women and men, if they care to join, learn what they need to learn to take their business to the next level. And one of our ladies, she's so interesting because she can hear in one ear and she's non-hearing in the other. So she lives between both worlds and she signs. And so we've been talking about her teaching me a few things or introducing me to that world. So that's on my list.
And how can we support your business?
Well, I can be supported by giving and gifting everyone who's listening a free course called What's Your Story? So we talked about how much I love the power of story. And since I talk about it a lot, I teach about it a lot, I want people to really understand the power of their story. So I have this mini course called What's Your Story? And all you do is you go to storywithkim.com, storywithkim.com, and it will unlock a mini course with some videos and some downloadable PDFs. And the way we have it arranged, it's all on one web page and you just go through all the content and it will help you unlock your stories and things that have happened in the past that have meaning that you can now activate today.
And they don't need a promo code for that?
No, storywithkim.com. And I will say that it will put you as part of my community. I'll have your email address and I'll be able to send you when I'm doing other things like captivating conversations. Like what I'm doing this weekend, I'm so excited. I launched something called the VIP Speaker Challenge, which has led to the VIP Speaker Intensive. And VIP, and I see you have V's in your branding as well. The VIP stands for visibility, impact, and profitability. So we think that VIP means very important person, and it does. But I want everybody to have the VIP experience with visibility, impact, and profitability. So when I saw your visibility right there, I was like, ooh, she's my kind of people.
Kim, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
No, you were so thorough. You were so thorough. Well, the question I get asked a lot is, will there be a living single reunion? And that's the one question you didn't ask me. And I will answer you and say, I don't know. So maybe it's good that you didn't ask me because I don't know. There's talk about it and we love each other and we're still all friends, but I don't know if there'll ever be a living single reunion. And if it does, I will happily, I always say we should do it while we all still look good. So that's the one question that you didn't ask, but I'm actually in many ways grateful that you didn't, because I think a lot of people still see me as that character from that show. And although that show was huge and still is, and I still get people saying, thank you for being positive images for African Americans. Thank you for being positive images for love interests. You know, Sinclair and Overton had a love that was so innocent and so sweet, and we hadn't seen that before. So that's still important to me. And I have so much more that I want to do. And that won't, like I said, I call it the sparkling jewel of my career, but it won't be the only sparkling jewel that I have and will leave when my time is done.
And speaking of legacy, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as just loving and kind and easy to be around. Loving, kind, easy to be around, and she always made me laugh. They said that, we used to laugh so much. I would go like, yep. I'll be looking down from heaven going, yep, I left my mark. Yep.
And we come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions and I want you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
I am ready for the Fun Fact Lightning Round.
The last movie you saw?
Coming to America 2.
Your favorite color?
Purple.
You relax doing what?
Getting a facial.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Luther Vandross.
Your favorite dance song?
It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right by Rob Bass.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
Spinach.
Your first job?
A receptionist in a law firm.
Your favorite month?
January, my birth month.
Work out or hit the couch?
Well, lately it's been hit the couch, but it's about to be workout.
Kim, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you, and feel free to leave all your social media handles.
All right. So I am at Kim Coles on almost all the social medias. I am at Kim Coles on the Instagram. I am at Kim Coles on the Twitter. I am Real Kim Coles on Facebook and at Kim Coles on LinkedIn. And I can be found at storywithkim.com. That's the free course I'm giving everyone. Just take it and have a lot of fun with that. And you can reach me at admin@kimcoles.tv if you have questions or you'd like to hear, what offerings we're working on right now. And that's it. I'm just at Kim Coles, at me.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you. That was delightful.
Subscribe to our mailing list to receive weekly updates and exclusive content delivered right to your inbox. Go to drfrancisrichards.com. That's drfrancisrichards.com to subscribe to our mailing list and be entered into our monthly drawing. That's drfrancisrichards.com, drfrancisrichards.com to subscribe to our mailing list and be entered into our monthly drawing. We promise we won't spam you or sell your information.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.